Good afternoon, class. For today's lesson, we're going to be looking at Transformers Titanium series Optimal Optimus. It is kind of an Optimus Prime figure, and we're going to have a look at it. Starting off with one of the two vehicle modes here, and you're thinking, that's a vehicle mode? Yeah, actually, I concur. This is a very sad excuse for a vehicle mode. This is supposed to be kind of like a car mode. It does roll a little bit. It kind of just looks like a robot that's kind of lying down. Yep. So, this is the first mode. There are three modes for this figure from this Titanium series. What we can do is we pop off, well, the hands, quite frankly, here. We can fold this wheel underneath. And then we can turn the arms over. And now the big part of this, the wings on the side, we can fold them out. And now suddenly, Optimal Optimus is a triple changer with a flight mode. Now actually this is pretty close to how he would have looked on the show or the original one from Beast Wars, but actually the feet would have been down. Right? And that's how he would fly around. Well, actually this wheel here would be a little better hidden. Yeah, I know, it's pretty weak, isn't it? So before I start transforming him, just some story on this figure itself. It is part of the Titanium series, whoops. And the Titanium series, they took basically a lot of Optimus Primes and a number of other, well, a few other characters. I think there's a Starscream, a Megatron, a Grimlock of some description, and they decided to make die-cast metal parts. And we have some of them on here. Problem is with a number of them is that the transformations became very lacking. And this would be one of those cases. Now, Optimal Optimus was not the best choice, because even the original one and on the show his flight form was pretty weak. So we can't transform this large hunk of metal. So the first thing I'm going to do, like a lot of Transformers, I'm going to extend the legs here. We're going to pull apart there. We're going to flip these wheels back. We are going to tip this piece forward. We're going to fold the arms down. I'm going to adjust my camera upwards a little bit. There we go. We're going to flip this wheel in, this whole part forward, up. There we go. The arms pull out here at the shoulder. We can fold the wings up. Depending on when you saw them on the show, sometimes they had them up, and or maybe this way. And then we're going to take this head that's clearly visible from the top here, and we're going to pop it up and then turn his head forward. And we're going to turn his arms over. And here we have Optimus. So it is Optimus Primal from Beast Wars. It's kind of his, well, it was part of the Transmetal 2 wave, although I'm not sure I would want to call the character or figure Transmetal 2. Anyway, what happened was, just a brief bit of background on the character itself. There was Optimus Primal, and he was the monkey version of Optimus Prime, although not the original Optimus Prime. And what happened was, is the Beast Wars era Megatron broke into the Ark on prehistoric Earth, shot the original Optimus Prime in the head, which is actually kind of a cool moment. And in order to save Optimus Prime, Primal took Prime Spark into his own body, and it caused him to change, into what we see here, this big gangly figure that we have. Yeah, and then he was a little, I think, a little more badass. And then Megatron named him Optimal Optimus, and that's the name that kind of stuck. But he was still Optimus Primal. Now, in terms of articulation for this figure, you can see we can turn the head all the way around. The arms are going to move all the way around. Shoulders we can move up and down. A little bit of motion here at the elbow, goes pretty far back, but not that far up. It can rotate, and the hand can rotate and bend a little bit as well. Whoops. The waist, you know what, nothing. We can go back a little bit so we can make him look like he's getting shot and fall down, which actually happened to Optimal Optimus a fair bit. He got blown away surprisingly often for a Transformer of his size. You'd think he would be slightly more badass, but he really, really wasn't, sadly. The hips, it's got that kind of double joint there, so we got lots of motion this way. We have the rotation at the knee, and the knee bends a little bit. and then the foot moves at the ankle back and forth. And the colors, you know, it's pretty true to how he looked. I don't know who threw up on the color palette to make these the colors of Optimus Primal, or sorry, Optimal Optimus. Maybe with a combination of Optimus Prime, we would have more of the red and silver instead of this awful burgundy color and these awful orange colors. Something wrong here. The other feature this figure has, is that we have twin cannons up here on his shoulders. Now, in the original one, basically what would happen is this chest piece would pop down and they would pop out through the front, but in this case they just fold down, which actually isn't that bad. But these were his primary weapons, at least on the show. The original figure did come with a hand weapon, but it never showed up in the show, so this is how he would shoot people. In the original figure, I think this bit here lit up, and that was in the show used as kind of a targeting laser sight doodad. Enough of that. The other thing that this figure does come with, like I think all the Titanium series figures, is this little stand. And here it says Optimal Optimus, just in case we forget. Oh, that reminds me of something else. We've got the nice big Autobot emblem here, which we also have on his shoulder. That really, I can't remember if he had an emblem or not on his shoulder in the show, but it really should be a maximal symbol. And actually I was a little disappointed that they couldn't have at least done that. And as described in the instructions, figure fits onto stand. How excellent is that? It would have really sucked if it came with a stand that it didn't fit on. Yeah, I know. What can I say else about this figure? You know what? It's not particularly good. I think if a better choice, I don't know who decided to use Optimal Optimus, but I think it would have been a lot better choice to use Transmetal 1 Optimus Primal if they had to use an Optimus Primal figure. Because again, they took the original one. The same thing happened with the Fire Convoy figure. They took kind of the big figure and then they had to figure out how to reduce its size, reduce its transformation, but still have it look like the original. And in the robot mode, it's not bad, except for these hands, which are horrible. But it really, really sucked once we got to the alternate mode. And speaking of which, the alternate mode we saw the most, I would say the most in Beast Wars, was his Beast mode, the Monkey mode, Load Monkey. And clearly, we can see that we don't have that at all. The closest thing we have is his feet down here and the hands up here, and that's about it. Which is kind of disappointing. It would have been bad if they just had him transform into the Beast mode instead of that really crappy looking car and the crappier looking jet. But I digress. Often and repeatedly. So that is our look, I think, at Titanium Series Optimal Optimus. This is not the kind of figure that's going to be played with, much like most of the Titanium figures. It does have the metal pieces. There's the shoulders up here, they're metal. The legs, the lower part of the legs here are metal. There are bits on his chest. This part's metal. I think most of his, good chunk of his torso is here, not the upper part. I don't know how much this thing would go for, or if it's even honestly worth getting, unless you're kind of a big Primal fan. I saw this in the store and I went, ooh, it's another Optimus Prime from the Titanium series. I was obsessed, so I had to get it. In retrospect now, I would give this figure, if I was going to give it a grade, a C. It's average. It's could have been a lot better. I do like Optimus Primal, but I'm not too fond of this figure itself. So, it might get stood up with the rest of them, but I don't know if I would hunt for it now. But anyways, that is our lesson on Transformers Titanium Series Optimal Optimus. Have a good night, and class is dismissed.